Welcome to the Ingram Micro B2B Tech Talk podcast. We bring you the insights you need on IoT, AI, and the future of technology.
What I'd like to talk about today is how can we build a successful AI strategy? I think from my point of view, this is still new to the channel, to everyone really. How do we build a strategy that is sustainable as a business model, and how we can add value to the customers in large?
And that is a great question, and one that I find that our end customers aren't really addressing. They're kind of going, I want an AI, without really putting in any of the sort of foundational building blocks that they need in order to do it successfully. And as a result, they're not really understanding whether or not they're getting the return on investment, because, and I talk to customers about this all the time, if you want to understand whether or not something is adding value, it needs to be measurable.
Yeah.
Anything that is measurable needs to be repeatable, and anything that is repeatable needs to be automated. In order to put in this foundational capability, you've kind of got to do some planning. And as a result, it's not just about dropping in a use case. It's about building an overarching strategy that is really going to enable you to put in all of that and allow you to put in successful. And I really appreciate you use the word sustainable, because that's a key, because it's really easy to create inefficient AI systems that consume lots of power and don't really give you the benefit that you thought they were going to.
Yeah, and I think it's important as well from a reseller strategy. What you don't want to do is just sell one AI solution. What you want to do is you want to repeat that. You want to have a model that you can deliver to multiple clients multiple times over multiple years. So I think it's important. I also think as well, it's kind of misleading when you're watching the TV. Every other advert seems to be AI-driven solutions.
Yep.
So it seems from a consumer's point of view that it's perfectly simple, because people are just saying it now in adverts, in everyday life, AI-driven solutions. But
Yep.
How do we get to the point where people are delivering AI-driven solutions? So I think it's important that we plan, and we help to plan with our partners and with the end users.
Yep.
On how they actually get to this abstract concept of an AI-driven solution.
Yeah. And the good thing for the partner community is 80% of this is repeatable. And then you've got the rest of the other 20% is based on kind of industry, and then you've got a percentage of it that's based on data. So if you build a capability to have a strategic conversation with customers, it's the vast majority of the conversation is going to be the same.
Yeah.
When it comes to sort of building AI solutions, or all of the things that we're seeing in the press, we have to bear in mind that AI, it's a really big field. And even using some very, very primitive maths, you could say that it's an AI-driven solution, because even things like linear regression are machine learning AI techniques.
Yeah.
So as a result, using something that you can do in Microsoft Excel, you could say is an AI-driven solution. And it is resulting in the term being sort of a little bit abused.
Overused.
Yes. And that is creating a lot of misunderstanding. So, and there are three main ways that you can bring AI into your organization. So way number one, you buy it, which is an AI that somebody else has already done the work on. Now, you don't really get any market differentiation, and you have to buy into their marketing hype that says, I've got an AI-driven solution. And it could be something that you could do yourself in Excel, or it could be something really complicated like an artificial neural network. The other way is you build it yourself. Here you need the right kind of expertise and skills, but it does allow you to work explicitly with your data to tackle your problems and give you market differentiation. There is a hybrid of the two, which is sort of how I take a model that somebody's done 80% of the work on, and I do 20% customization for my organization, which is really about a sort of a partnership model. There is some complexity around that. Who owns the intellectual property? Do I have the skills in order to do that, to bring that together?
Yeah.
So those are the three main vehicles for bringing AI in. Either way, you need two things to be successful at doing any one of those three. You need some skill, and you need a partner ecosystem. No organization can do it on their own, just because the level of skills and diversity that they need is not usually something that's in an organization. And these are things that we can help our end customers with by giving them either the capabilities or the platforms that they need in order to go on these AI journeys. Because I always say to customers, AI is a journey, not a destination, because it uses this fluid thing called data. Data is always changing and evolving, and you need to keep your AI systems up to date, which means that they are something that you need to keep on top of. So you will need some skill and a comprehensive ecosystem of partners to be successful.
What's the first step then? So let's say we want to build a strategy from a reseller perspective. Where's the best place for them to start?
In terms of building it yourself, is not exclusively for very large organizations, because if you are going to build complicated Gen AI foundational neural networks, that's expensive. That requires extremely high skill levels and massive amounts of computation. Mm-hmm. However, if you're going to dial down some of the AI complexity that you're going to bring in, very accessible to organizations of any size, as long as they have the right kinds of data. So if you want to do, basic things like propensity to buy predictions, these are not complicated AI systems. And in actual fact, what we're finding is a lot of organizations have been out there, they've built them, and they've made them publicly available. You can go onto locations like Hugging Face. So Hugging Face is a repository where people have built algorithms, provided data sources, and they've made them available for everyone to use. So in lots of cases, you don't necessarily need to build the AIs from scratch. You can sort of do this sort of hybrid approach in the middle, but you do need some skill and the right kind of platforms. So from a reseller perspective, if you don't necessarily have the data science skill, firstly, if you're a reseller and you find data scientists, they're actually really nice people. They are trying to solve business problems using data. And even when I engage with the data science community, they don't ask me about the maths, because they don't want my opinion on the maths.
They already know that.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's their job. What they want help with. When I talk to data scientists and I speak to the channel community, I say, listen to words like, I'm running out of, it's taking too long. If you hear those kind of words, what do they need? More compute, more storage. There are basic tenets in the channel that they can help fulfill and equip data scientists with what they need. So you're really reaching in to the portfolio, hopefully from HPE, and picking out basic building blocks and giving them to data scientists, because they know what they want. They just don't necessarily have enough of it. It's net new budget. It's not coming out of the IT budget. This is business level spend, because data scientists don't work in IT, they work in the business. Mm-hmm. So as a result, if you want to break out of that, find people who are working in the data space, have the conversation with them, and just listen for those key phrases, and immediately you're going after net new revenue for you outside of the IT spend, to a collection of new and empowered stakeholders who really do need the right compute, storage, networking, and open source software tools that live on top of that in order to make their jobs much easier and reduce the amount of time it takes them to build or manage any AI systems.
So if I put myself in a reseller's point of view, how do they approach the AI solution and the AI approach? What would the sort of programmatical viewpoint be on how they take that into an opportunity?
So I think probably the easiest way of thinking about it is, what are our end customers doing? Probably if I were to summarize how they would kick off some work streams, because that's ultimately what they're going to do. They're not going to be able to, you can't click on install.exe and get something up and running. There's a set of programmatic steps you've got to go through. Yeah. So the first one and the common one is you need an exec stream. So this is how you get stakeholder buy-in, how you ultimately start to think about what your strategy is going to look like, and how you're going to pull together an overarching set of streams. You need an AI stream. What's in that? What use cases am I looking at? How do I prioritize them? But also, how am I going to implement them? How am I going to make them real? How am I going to get end user buy-in? People are going to have to use these systems, and as a result, because of the misunderstanding and conjecture that lives in the space, these are things you need to tackle head on. There's the phrase, culture eats strategy for breakfast, and it absolutely eats AI as a mid-morning snack. What that means is, if you don't get cultural buy-in, you're going to deploy systems that people just can't really use.
So this is really to establish if a business has the appetite and the need and to move forward with AI solutions.
Yes.
So it's really establishing, first thing before anything is to establish that AI solutions are necessary and needed and wanted in the business. I think the wanted thing is probably quite important, because there needs to be that sort of executive buy-in from that to say, right, we want to go forward with this. So it's about establishing that and then pursuing those type that approach that you just mentioned.
A word of caution, especially for the channel. If you find an organization that says, I just want AI,
that's the red flag, right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. The question, you could ask them a couple of qualifying questions. So number one is, have you thought about, are you tackling a real business problem? Because we all know organizations, if they're not tackling a real business problem, there's probably no actual money behind it.
Yeah.
Secondly, have you identified any use cases?
Yeah.
And thirdly, have you got any skill? If they've either not identified use cases or they've got hundreds of them, they can potentially be big time sinks. Mm-hmm. As you'll sink a lot of time into it and get very little benefit from it.
Yeah. So it's about priority. If they have 100 things, what is the priority based on the business need right now, and then try to establish some kind of priority list for those solutions.
If you're selling consultancy around helping identify which one of those is a priority, great. If you're not, and you're doing it as part of a pre-sales engagement, you'll spend a lot of time working out which one of those hundreds is actually going to go forward. So you need to be looking at organisations who have a handful. They've done some actual thinking about it, or they want to proactively engage with you and set the expectation that you'll work on a few, not loads. The last one is skill, because if an organisation doesn't have any skill, so I work with end customers, they come to me and they say, I want to do an AI. I say, great, have you got any skill in it? And they say, no. How are you going to get that skill in? I'm going to bring it in from an outsourcing partner, or I'm going to outsource it. I'm going to go to the contract market. You're a bit like, right, okay, so what happens when that leaves and you're left with this AI, you don't know how it works?
Yeah.
There's some inherent risk associated with that. From the channel's perspective, if you get too heavily involved in that and you've got a long-term relationship with a partner, with an end customer, and everyone else leaves, it's the channel they're going to go to when they need help. And the channel, your AI skills are going to be going elsewhere because you want to drive the next opportunity. Mm-hmm. So yes, a couple of things to be cautious of when it comes to looking at use cases. The reason I say this is I am not a fan of having a use case conversation, because in order to do any of the scenarios where I buy an AI, I build an AI, I'll do a hybrid of the two, I have to have the data. I have to have the data. It needs to be in the right location, with the right variety, with the right veracity, with the right volume, in order to support the use case. So, as a result, step one is around identification of data, which is another work stream. So, just come back to the AI work stream. So, you've got an AI work stream. Generative AI is a different work stream. The reason that is because it tackles a slightly different problem. So AI is about using algorithmically driven approaches to find hidden patterns in data. Generative AI is around the creation of digital assets.
Yeah. Different
problems. So as a result, they have a different life cycle.
Yeah.
Next up, you need a data stream, because you need to be working out what data you've got, who owns it, can you get access to it, can you move it, can you transform it. Once you've done that, especially if you've got customers who are in regulated environments, who managed it, who transformed it, why did they transform it, how did you dispose of it, all of these type of questions that a regulator will ask you. So absolutely critical, because most industries have a degree of regulation associated with them. You need to understand the metadata around the data that you're transforming. And lastly, and this is where the channel plays a significant role, is the technology stream. What technology are you going to run this on? And you need to think about this right at the very beginning. So unlike other sort of big digital transformations that our end customers have done historically, where they thought about what platforms they were going to put it on later in the life cycle, especially from a hardware perspective, with AI, these considerations need to be made right at the front, because choosing your hardware platform has implications on what use cases you can deploy, where your data is, and ultimately form part of your strategy. So if you're a reseller and you're going in to have a conversation with a customer, bearing in mind they're going to be running a number of these activities. So you can interface with them, but also you can get involved right at the beginning leveraging up from the technology viewpoint into your execs. And you can have that executive level conversation, but you know that you've got a technology stream. If they haven't kicked off a technology stream, that's where you need to be advising them to say, Mr. Customer, you want to do something with AI? You need to have a number of use cases. You need to have some skill, and you need to have an eye on what your infrastructure platforms are going to look like. So what compute, storage, and networking do you need? What tools do you need to run on those? And that's absolutely where resellers and channel partners, HP's channel partners, can absolutely play a critical role in making AI initiatives successful.
So moving back into the infrastructure piece,
Yep.
what are HPE bringing to the table?
So our strategy has been evolving based on customer demand. So historically, we've had a separated compute, storage, networking, and software strategy in the AI space. And customers could kind of cherry pick between all of the relevant pieces. Hopefully, everyone is aware of HPE GreenLake, which is an overarching brand for our consumption models. Inside that, what we're seeing is customers actually want to focus on the business problem. They don't want to focus on how they put together compute, storage, and networking and the software layers they need in order to build them a solution. What they want is something pre-integrated, ready to go. And that's where, so HP have announced at Discover what we call private cloud AI. So this is under our GreenLake banner. So it is a pre-configured rack with all of the compute, storage, networking, and what we call HPE AI Essentials built on top of it. We co-develop this with NVIDIA, and what we bring from the NVIDIA side are the NVIDIA GPUs and the NVIDIA software layers, which is called the NVIDIA AI Enterprise. So between all of that software, you've got all of the tools a data scientist or somebody who's building an AI system will need. If you want to bring one in, it also has a collection of solution accelerators, meaning you get a pre-integrated stack and then you can deploy a solution accelerator onto it. So everyone's talking about generative AI and building chatbots and things along those lines, or having a conversational relationship with your data. That is one of our pre-configured solution accelerators using the NVIDIA software stack, which is called the NVIDIA Inferencing Microservices. So again, a level of complexity that HP and NVIDIA are taking away from customers who might not necessarily have all of the infrastructure skills they need in order to build a top-to-bottom AI stack.
So that software provides the capabilities to do what it says on the tin?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Great. Okay.
So it's an on-prem private cloud instance that allows you to run all of your AI workloads and generative AI workloads.
And these are pre-sized, or can you flex and design as you need, or both?
So they're pre-sized, so they come in 3 sizes. Small,
what would they be?
Small, medium, and large.
Oh, wow.
Small,
Okay.
medium, and large. You can extend them, so you can go small extended, medium extended, large extended. And that is because the reason why we've gone with those, because you might think, well, everyone, t-shirt sizes, but they're actually sized for what in generative AI terms is inferencing, which is running your models.
Yeah.
Fine-tuning, which is the medium and large options. So fine-tuning is around taking a pre-existing foundational large language model and then tweaking it specifically for your needs. So if you're going to do that, you do need more infrastructure grunt in order to be able to do that. And that's why we've got the medium and large options.
And these are readily available via GreenLake. Can you buy them off the shelf?
CapEx. Yes.
CapEx.
Yes. They're available as CapEx options.
So we have two routes there. If they're not wanting to go down the OpEx route, they can have them, pay for them, and use them in exactly the same way.
So for anyone who's a long-standing HPE customer, you'll be aware of the fact of our long-standing relationship with the open source community.
Yeah.
So the HPE AI Essentials is based on a collection of open source initiatives which we've pulled together. We provide something which doesn't readily come from the open source community, which is enterprise grade security integration and integration of the open source products to provide you with a top to bottom stack. And part of private cloud AI is a continuing support arrangement. So unlike the open source community where you'll have to drop onto a Slack channel to raise an issue, here you've got a ready to go support stack provided by HPE, which also covers the NVIDIA components as well. So if you get a problem, you phone us up and it's within HPE's remit to fix any issues, including tackling any open source problems that you have.
Matt, thanks for your time again. It's been enlightening. I look forward to speaking to you again.
Thanks for having me.